Last year, a participant in one of our field studies walked through a shopping mall. He said, "It feels empty. I think the store closed down." And that moment captures the subject of this talk. We call this selective hearing. Not in the metaphorical sense, but as a technical capability.
The ability to decide what we don't want to hear.
Cochlear filters are small firmware modules installed inside modern implants. They analyze incoming audio, classify it, and suppress entire categories of sound. This began as a way to reduce noise fatigue. But very quickly, people realized they could block something else: advertising. Modern implants already contain all the hardware needed.
And this created a new industry almost overnight.
By our estimates, the number of people running aftermarket cochlear filters rose from just over 3 million in 2029 to almost 37 million in 2034, a tenfold increase in 5 years.
This is no longer a fringe modification. It is becoming standard behavior. The types of audio people block are remarkably consistent.
Radio ads, video ads, brand jingles, retail pressure tones, the ones designed to accelerate purchasing behavior, and increasingly campaign audio during election cycles.
In other words, the soundscape of persuasion.
This is what a typical 14-second retail sound segment looks like when we record it with a binaural microphone.
Dense, layered, intentionally busy. And this is what a user hears with cochlear filtering enabled. Almost nothing, except footsteps and mechanical noise. Excuse me.
Not silence, just removal of the designed parts. The core of these systems is what we at EISS call the acoustic firewall.
It sits between incoming signal and perception. It performs pattern detection, classification, suppression, and pass-through, all in real time.
This is no longer noise reduction. It is environmental editing. As filtering became widespread, advertisers introduced countermeasures.
Ultrasonic watermarking, barely audible bands embedded in audio. Forced pass-through tones designed to trick the filter. Encrypted segments that the implant cannot classify and therefore allows through.
It has become an arms race between users and the sound economy around them. One field observation illustrates the effects.
This is a section of a shopping center in Malmö. Users with filtering enabled walked through this corridor and consistently described it as strangely quiet or emotionally flat.
Their implants block not only ads, but the ambient music layer that retailers use to guide movement and mood. We call this area a silent tunnel, not because it lacks sound, but because it lacks intentional sound. This raises an important question. What happens to sounds we consider essential?
Most implants now contain a dedicated emergency override path. Alerts, evacuation signals, and transport announcements bypass the filter entirely. But we regularly see cases where users disable the override without realizing it, or trust third-party firmware that mishandles safety signals.
This is where ethical and regulatory discussions are now focused.
Because something more fundamental is happening.
In the past, we shared the same acoustic environment. Now, two people can stand next to each other and hear entirely different worlds. The overlap between these worlds is shrinking. This affects orientation, conversation, and even the emotional texture of public space.
Earlier this year, EISS issued an advisory outlining the potential long-term effects of selective filtering.
Not to stop it, but to understand it. Because this technology will not disappear.
It will continue to expand, and people will continue to personalize what they hear.
So I want to close with this thought. Selective hearing was once a metaphor. Now it's a setting.
And in the coming years, all of us as individuals, as cities, as institutions will have to decide
what parts of the world we allow in and what parts we quietly remove.
Thank you.